Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook. It's Sunday, so we're going to shoot some samples, and I've got a wicked cool pack of samples that was sent to me from Chris. And Chris was down traveling into Traverse City, Michigan, and discovered this bar and distillery, and also thought of me and picked up this tasting pack. And so I'm really, really thankful. And today I want to talk to you about, I think I'm going to do two of them. They've got a barrel proof rye and a barrel proof straight whiskey. And then they've got a barrel proof whiskey that's infused with cherries. And I think I'm going to come back to that one. So I'm going to do the two. So we'll do a barrel proof whiskey, or bourbon, sorry, and a barrel proof rye from Traverse City Whiskey Company. So if you've got anything from these guys, or a nice barrel proof bourbon or a nice barrel proof rye, when you pour a little bit, when you come back, we'll nose, we'll taste, and we'll just share a bit of whiskey. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. I thought I'd cut out the part where I tried to get these bottles out of that paper gift pack, because it was a little bit harder than it should be. And now these are wax sealed, which are really classy, but sometimes can be a little bit messy when you break into them. There we go. Don't want to get any of that wax in my whiskey. I don't know if I'm the only one that has that issue. So as I said in the opener, this is from Traverse City, Michigan, and I only know what's on their website in terms of history. It looked like 3 young people got together. Maybe it was Chris, Jared, and Monty. And Chris discovered his grandfather had some patents for distilling bourbon. So that is wicked cool. And they decided, hey, let's do something with this. And so they started up a small distillery. And as I said, I think they also have a bar. I don't know anything about the mash bill here. I couldn't find it online. This is barrel proof, 58.3%. And on the back, it does say aged for 4 more years, which aligns with the straight bourbon that they have on there. So we'll kind of nose and taste bourbon, and then I think we'll do rye. And as I said, I'm going to wait on that cherry. The bourbon, nose and taste. Oh, it's actually kind of spicy up front. It's got cinnamons and some brown sugar. There's some sweetness. But, my mind was thinking, because this cherry, like, oh, am I going to get a lot of deep cherry in there? It is a little drier and a little spice forward. Cinnamons, brown sugars. For me, yeah, there's a little bit of caramel in there. Oak. But it's strong and a little warm. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. That's nice. It's not that spicy either. Oh, okay. And I said that. That's so funny. And then the early finish came back and went, hello. And it was a little more charred, a little more spice. And I was going to say the nose and the upfront palate really was speaking a little bit like, is this a wheater? But now I feel like that hug that came back does mean that there's rye in here. Let's try another sip. Nice sweetness there. Nice toffees. Little butter. More char, more oak. It's still overall a drier bourbon for me. Less fruit forward, more spice forward, more caramel sweetness. Sweetness, caramel, and spice are playing around in oak more than like a lot of cherry or a lot of apple. There's maybe some fruit, like there is some sweetness, and sometimes that takes me into some fruit sweetness. It's just not my first character. Gonna try that with a bit of water in a moment. Now we're gonna do the rye. I think I'm gonna open it off camera. So I've opened up the rye. I didn't get any wax in the liquid, and this one is a straight rye, so it's aged at least 4 years. It says over on the back. I also don't know. I mean, to be a rye, it has to be 51% rye, but I don't know where on that spectrum. Is it a 95.5? Is it a barely legal 51%, or is it 100% rye? I don't know. And if you know a bit more about Traverse City whiskey, why don't you let me know? This is a little lighter at 56.2%, I believe. Yep, 56.2. So it's got a little less proof on it. I've had it sitting here just a couple of minutes. Let's see what we get. Nose and taste. Ah, it's a full rye. It actually reminds me a little bit of the Colorado, which maybe I should have poured that against here. By that is it's right away a little lemongrass, a little herbal nature, some spicing. It's a nice sweetness, but yeah, I'm getting even almost a little menthol. Nice full rye. If I was guessing, I'm going to say at least 95.5, if not 100%, just on the nose. Let's try the palate and see where it goes. Cheers. That is a nice full rye. I am getting a little cherry fruitness in there. Lots of spicing. Good pepper. Nice crackback pepper, I like to say. But there's some cinnamon in there too, and a little bit of clove, a little bit of ginger. Broad spice palette, actually. I would, in a blind, and I guess I am, I'm trying for the first time. I would say this is 100% rye. It really drinks for me that way because it does have some of that lemongrass, some of that herbal, menthol, mint note. I'm going to try another sip. Well, that is very tasty. Well, a full rye, honestly, like if it's not 100%, it drinks that way. Um, and definitely those notes that I know some people struggle with in rye. That's why I mentioned them. It's well put together and has a little less astringency for me in my palate than that the Colorado 291. I like this rye, and I'm even getting little edges of chocolate, little dark chocolate edges. Like just that. Oh, is that a little bit of dark baking chocolate in there? That kind of chocolate. Not an overwhelming, certainly not a sweet milk chocolate, but just a little bit of dark notes in there. Really like that. Of these two, they're both very tasty. Almost surprisingly so. Never heard of Traverse City Whiskey Company. These are both great. And of course, I appreciate Chris. You're an awesome gentleman for sending them my way. But this rye is really tasty. And from memory, which is a terrible way to taste things, I would say I do like it more than the 291. And this is, like, I don't want to rate, but this is a really good rye. I'd give it a shot. Always like to pick a bottle to compare to, even with samples. And in this case, I picked that I have a little bit left of my Alberta Premium. This is batch one. I think it's 65.1%. A really big rye, one that I certainly enjoy. 100% rye. I just wish I had chosen a different one because we'll see as this tasting comparison goes. So it's much rounder on the nose. Yep, there's spicing. Yep, there's even a bit of alcohol. I mean, we're 10% higher almost at 65. But it is deeper baking spices, milder oaks, and very little herbal mint type note on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. Oh, that's a really tasty rye. And this hot for sure. And that's some alcohol heat at 65. Also has that baking spice profile, a little less cracked pepper than this Traverse City, but lots of cinnamon and some of those brown sugars. Now a little more caramel, a little more relaxed oak. Honestly, for me, what makes the Alberta Premium such a great rye, it's got all those rye notes, and they're now in the longer finish. I'm getting some of the herbal notes, but they're back there present so you can taste them. But it has a lot of bourbon notes, which makes it rounder, sweeter, and actually a little more approachable. Don't get me wrong, this is a bruiser. And if you drink this like that without any water, it's just going to wipe out your palate for the rest of the day. Since Sunday Samples really is more about tasting and thinking about something you've never had before and a little less rating, I dropped some water in here and we'll try the barrel proof rye nose and taste. A little sweeter. Almost got edges of honey on that, which is interesting. Still that full rye nose on the palate. Probably would take this in smaller sips than water it down too much. Maybe I put too much water on it. Because now I just have the edges of spicing and the bit of barrel char and then the grass. And there was more body and structure before I put water on that. They're barrel proof bourbon with a bit of water. Oh, the nose is even richer. That buttered baking spices on pastry. I've said this before, a cinnamon bun, or here I might even get a bit of fruit. Like now I could even say like an apple pie, like that kind of thing. So you've got some thick sweetness, some spicing, some bready. Nice nose. Try it on the palate. Cheers. Well, it's still a little drier. The fruit that I finally was getting on the nose didn't really come out in the palate. It's clearly more approachable with some water on it than at barrel proof. Now it's easy sipping, but it reminds me a little bit more of some bourbons that I'm getting out of Texas. It just remains spicy, flavorful. It's a good bourbon. So I would say today, the bourbon was probably better with water all around. The rye for me was better without water and just in, kind of small sips and let the full strength excite you. The Alberta Premium remains just a really good rye because of its balance. Even though I know it's a bruiser, balance is a tough word to use with that, but its flavor profile balance, I think, continues to give it an edge on a lot of full ryes. But if you're looking for a more grassy herbal rye, this is a great rye. And certainly if you're in this area, I'd absolutely pick up a bottle of either of those. Really good stuff. Thanks again, Chris, for sharing with me, and hope you guys have enjoyed the tasting here. And if you've ever had Traverse City, or if you know more about their mash bill or more about their history, why don't you share a little bit below? Have a great rest of your Sunday and a great work week coming up.